Here. So I think there's a variety of AI bots that, or some, at least one that's recording, but now we're recording at Global Chamber. Yep, very good. So, hey, hi, everybody. My name is Doug Brunke. I'm the founder and CEO of Global Chamber. It's been a couple years since we've heard from the Denver International Airport, and Rachel Gruber's a longtime member and supporter of Global Chamber. So, a key aspect of today's conversation will be hearing an update from the airport. We love that because the airport is the harbor for international travel, and Denver is a particularly successful airport. And a lot of my own experience recently, in the last couple decades, has been Phoenix. And even though there's a lot of progress in Phoenix, Phoenix is still considerably behind Denver relative to international flights. Salt Lake, another one in our region, is actually pretty good, and believe just behind Denver in terms of its international flights. And when I say pretty good, I mean all airports. Those three are three great airports. I'm mainly talking about direct international flights. Phoenix historically has been horrific related to that because, quite frankly, 20 years ago, who knew Phoenix? There wasn't anything international going on. And as a Globie, I was frustrated. And after a while, eventually I came up with the idea for Global Chamber because it was like, hey, every place should be global. And lo and behold, in the last 10 years, Phoenix has gotten on the global map. And a lot of that is due to the success of Mayor Gallego and a variety of other leaders in the Phoenix area who convinced TSMC to invest in the semiconductor industry, not just 10 or 20 billion dollars, but initially $65 billion. And now they've upped it to $100 billion. And so the largest historic foreign direct investment in history. So there's a lot going on, or more going on, in Phoenix, and yet Denver continues day in and day out to be a great airport. In addition to hearing from the airport, we'll do a roundtable of our members, and particular focus of the advisory boards for both Denver and Salt Lake. And so there's a lot going on in the world. On Thursday and Friday, we had two back-to-back trade conversations that were somewhat tariff oriented. And believe me, those were active, interesting people, and also interested topic for everybody because there's a lot of things going on. We'll just say that. And certainly anybody that's doing exporting right now, particularly between the US and somewhere else or into the US, it's a real challenge. And so we've got to keep up with it. We can't let the noise get in the way, however, because global trade continues to grow. We're right there. Global Chamber continues to grow. We have another group of executive directors from around the world starting today and tomorrow that are going through training. And so we're continuing to grow because global business pulls the world together. And so keep doing, each of you, your work, which is essential to build the connections that keep our world together. One of the great connectors is the airport, and Barry Burch has got his fingers on that for Denver International Airport. We appreciate the airport being a longtime member of Global Chamber. And Barry, thank you. I believe this is your first presentation at Global Chamber, taking over for Rachel on the advisory board for Global Chamber Denver. We really look forward to hearing what's the latest, because the last time, a couple years ago, you guys are amazing. So much progress, and going through the website again, you guys not only on a daily basis just being a great airport, but also on the international side continuing to make progress. So thank you for your leadership. My own experience with the Denver airport goes back about 40 years because I used to be in the Teflon business. And when Denver decided to put those mountains on top of the airport, that was a big deal when I was in the Teflon business, because it's basically what is it? What is not polyester, but it's fiberglass coated I think, or used to be anyway, fiberglass coated with Teflon. So thank you for the architectural amazingness. Thank you for being a great airport, and thank you for keeping us global at the airport. What would you like to share today?
All right, thank you so much, Doug. I'm gonna look to share my screen here.
There's all that Teflon.
You all can see the screen, okay?
Yes.
It's looking good.
We can see like the next slide notes as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we see the next slide. So if you don't mind that, then it's okay. But there's probably another view that might
see that. Okay, how about now?
looks great.
Yep.
All right, awesome. Okay, well, yeah, sure. So thank you for that, Doug, and hello everyone. It's great to see you all. I did step into Rachel Gruber's role. She was regional affairs, and I was doing community at the time, and so we kind of collapsed the two positions when she left. And so my portfolio kind of includes a lot of community groups within Denver, the city and county, and then also a lot of our municipalities and partners outside the city and county of Denver. Most closely, Adams County, Aurora, Commerce City, some of our local stakeholders, but it also goes beyond that to Wyoming, Kansas, and so forth. But yeah, it's great to see everyone. And Doug, thank you for talking about our tents and our architecture. There's actually a great video on PBS you all can check out. It talks about a lot of that. You'll have to probably scroll through all the videos on the conspiracy theories, but you can see a lot of great history when it comes to the airport. So thank you all again for the opportunity to talk about Denver International Airport, which we call DIN. We look forward to partnering with you. First, we'll review some information about the airport. DIN is the third busiest airport in North America and the second largest airport in the world, 53 square miles. We have 6 runways with room to expand to 12. We have a total of 173 gates, and we're also a major hub for 3 large airlines, including United, Southwest, and Frontier. This is a tremendous advantage because no one airline can control our operations. In 1995, as Doug mentioned, DIN was built for 50 million annual passengers, and in 2024, DIN served 82.4 million annual passengers. We just celebrated our 30-year anniversary last Thursday, but February 28th actually made 30 years, our 30-year anniversary, since moving from our old location at Stapleton. DIN is the primary economic engine for the state of Colorado, generating more than $47.2 billion for the region annually. Currently, DIN is served by 27 airlines, providing nonstop destinations to 226 destinations, including 33 international destinations in 18 countries. There are about 1,200 companies working at DIN, employing over 41,000 people. And our projections show that our passengers traffic will continue to grow. DIN is expected to reach 100 million passengers between 2030 and 2035. This means we have a short amount of time to get a 30-year-old facility built for 50 million passengers ready to welcome 100 million. Although we have strong foundation and projects underway that will help us, we have more work to do. And it will take everyone in the DIN ecosystem and the support of our community to succeed. It's important to note that unless we start now, we will not be able to support 100 million annual passengers. DIN has an expansive route, as you can see, and our mid-continental position makes an attractive place for airline partners to connect through. Our locations combined with our vast domestic network helped us recover from the pandemic quicker than many airports and makes us an attractive location for airlines to expand their networks. Another important key to DIN's success is the fact that we are lucky enough to have 3 airlines with major hub operations, which is extremely unusual. As I mentioned before, it's United, Southwest, and Frontier. They capture more than 85% of DIN's market share. Because of our efforts to hold down costs to airline partners, doing business at DEN is economical for airlines. Each of these big three have signed long-term leases or made significant financial investments at DEN. To address that continued growth, we've developed a strategy to get the airport ready to serve 100 million annual passengers. We call that strategy Vision 100. In orange, you see our guiding principles. They describe how we behave as we do our work. Vision 100 features 4 pillars of activity that span our operations. We need to improve on each of these areas to achieve Vision 100. But like any great organization, our eyes are always on the horizon. We've already begun to plan for 2045 when DEN will turn 50 years old. By then, we'll likely be serving more than 120 million annual passengers. Operation 2045 is our strategy to take us from 100 million to 120 million annual passengers. It will lay the foundation for the needed infrastructure expansions. Here's another way to look at how Vision 100 and Operation 2045 work together to keep DEN prepared. This timeline spans from current day to 2045, when DEN will serve over 120 million annual passengers. Now we'll look at Vision 100's pillars and see what DEN is holding, what is doing in each. The first pillar focuses on our people, that people working at DEN today and those who have the desire to work in the aviation industry in the future. We want to do this by creating a career path for our employees, but also for young people interested in aviation. We want them to have training and internship opportunities, which will lead to a career in aviation and set them on a path to executive leadership. We also want Denver to become the place for business to find aviation talent. We'll do so by building DEN's Center of Equity and Excellence in Aviation. The Center of Equity and Excellence in Aviation, which we call CIA for short, kind of like CIA at DEN, is a first of its kind training center that will create a pipeline of aviation talent. It'll provide underrepresented young people opportunities for careers in aviation. The space, approximately 40,000 square feet, will be located just above DEN's Westin Hotel and Transit Center. Construction began in late 2023, and minority women-owned business enterprise firms are leading the design and construction of the facility. To thoughtfully accommodate 100 million passengers and the growth that is inevitably coming, we must invest in growing and improving our infrastructure. And we will do so keeping safety and operational efficiency in mind. DEN sits on 53 square miles and can incrementally grow. We can grow from 6 runways to 12 runways, and we can still add to our current concourses and have room for additional concourses. We're wrapping up our current capital improvement plan, and we're beginning to plan and develop a 10-year capital improvement plan. Right now, we're focusing on 4 major capital improvement projects that will help prepare DEN for the future. I don't want to get into the weeds too much here, so I'll kind of speed through this, but I'm kind of assuming that a lot of you have been through the Denver International Airport, so kind of see where I'm referencing, like the levels that we have here, level 5, level 6, which is our top level at the airport for passengers. One of our top priorities for growing our infrastructure is the Great Hall Project. It enhances security by eliminating security on level 5 and moving it up to level 6 and installs more efficient technology. It increases capacity, improves operational efficiency, and enhances passenger experience. We constructed 2 new ticketing pods, built new restrooms on level 6, and renovated restrooms on level 5. We added more space on level 6 to improve passenger flow and completed it on time in November 2021, approximately $25 million under budget. As we work to complete phase 1 on time and on budget, we were able to kick off phase 2 in July of 2021. This phase was completed in February 2024 and constructed the new level 6 West Security checkpoint with improved technology and a new queuing concept that provides more effective and efficient security. We installed a triple escalator to move passengers directly down to the train platform and installed a new curbside escalator between levels 5 and 6. The final phase of this project builds a security checkpoint on level 6 in the northeast corner of the terminal, upgrades airline check-in facilities on the south end of level 6. It provides a new meet and greet area for domestic and international arrivals, and it constructs a Center of Equity and Excellence in Aviation. This phase began in fall of 2022 after relocating approximately 20 airline ticket counters from the north end of level 6 to the south end. The security checkpoint on the east side will be complete by the end of 2025. The entire completion phase will be complete in 2027 with portions opening along the way. Here are some of the renderings of what the completion phase will bring to the Jefferson terminal. If you see that the left bottom corner there is a tree that we're very excited about. That's going to be about 70 feet. It's going to be crystallized. And it's going to be kind of this is where the South Security checkpoint is right now. And we're hoping that people will congregate and people will say things like, hey, I'll meet you at the tree. And it'll be a lot of places where you can relax, charge your phone. You see there's a bar, restaurant area. Be a lot of fun. The next critical project is our gate expansion project, which added 39 new gates, increasing capacity by 30%. Additional gates will allow airlines to grow and give us additional capacity for more international airlines. All gates are already leased to United and Southwest. B West was completed in November 2020. C East was completed in May 2022. A West and B East were completed in November of 2022. However, to accommodate and realize Vision 100, we must plan now for additional gates above and beyond the 39 we are currently building, including a new ground load facility for frontier areas on the east end of Concourse A. The only remaining expansion location is on the west end of Concourse C, which includes a planned expansion project which would add 11 new gates and a basement and an outdoor deck to be included on the west end. When complete, all 3 concourses will be at full expansion capacity, allowing DEN to meet the 100 million passenger forecast. Just as important to preparing our airport for the future is the maintenance of our existing facility. It is key to our success today and in the future. DEN is over 30 years old, and the increase in passenger traffic will continue to put wear and tear on the entire facility, from our roadways to the terminal to our concourses and to our runways. We recognize that much of our airport is in need of attention, and we do have some plans to address many of those needs in the near future. For example, there are 320 conveyances that operate 24/7, and we'll have approximately 90 replaced by 2025. A plan to replace the rest of the conveyances has not yet been defined, but we on average can replace about 15 per year. And you know, when I first came to the airport, I didn't know what conveyances were. It's basically those modalities that we use to transport people, so like our walk-alators, things like that. Then there's concourse renewal, which includes upgrading hold rooms, wayfinding, restrooms, and replacing flooring. Finally, we're adding 16 new public restrooms and 14 family restrooms. The 4th pillar focuses on expanding our global connections. This includes bringing in more international flights, attracting new businesses, and creating opportunities for educational and cultural ties. Last year, Viva Aerobus started nonstop flights to Monterrey, Mexico in January. Aer Lingus started nonstop flights to Dublin in May. Turkish Airlines began nonstop flights to Istanbul in June. By bringing in more international flights, we have an opportunity to connect people and businesses to different parts of the world. More competitive, this means more options for inbound and outbound tourism. We also want to open up the continent of Africa to the Rocky Mountain region. We recently started an Africa Air Service Committee to help identify the airlines and markets that best provide opportunities for flights to Denver. We want to expand cargo operations. We also want to open the door for businesses to relocate or expand to Colorado. We want to create opportunities for local businesses to expand to the global market. What we do has an impact on Colorado's economy. By taking advantage of a unique DEN asset, our land, it means increased revenue for DEN and more jobs for our community. And finally, we have opportunities to expand our global connections through commercial development. Zooming in to the land that we own and looking to develop, we own a total of 34,000 acres. We know we have to keep the aviation functions whole and allow for the full build out of the airport, which includes 6 additional runways to our existing 6 runways today. Once you carve that out, DEN is left with 16,000 acres around the core aviation functions to develop. More than 20 million square feet of prime commercial space is available. This will benefit adjacent communities that are investing and expanding in local housing. In terms of Operation 2045, we're tracking several areas of consideration that we'll need to address as we approach our 50th anniversary. That's some of them listed there. Here is a rendering of what an expansion of the terminal to the north might look like. This may be needed to provide facilities for more passenger check-in and international passenger processing. Future concourse expansions may extend east and west from each end of the Jefferson terminal. This would prevent further stress on our existing train to the gates. So we have, our trains, a lot of people know us for them. We sometimes have mishaps, which we're always in the news. And so we're trying to find a way to alleviate some of those problems. DEN is committed to finding a redundant passenger movement system. One promising idea is to add passenger bridges between the concourses. passenger bridges are worthy of consideration and may become a part of DEN's future. And so again, the trains, if we were to have bridges, you wouldn't always have to use the train. You could walk to where you need to be. And we're planning to have concessions along your walk and so forth. Again, this isn't anything that's written in stone, but certainly a pretty valid idea that's been floating around. So that was a lot of information. I hope you found it interesting. Thank you all again for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. We've got about 5 minutes for Q&A. Does anybody have any questions?
Hey, Barry, I might have missed something. There's just something about a training center. Is that technical training or leadership training? Because that's where I'm interested.
Yeah, sure. So it's called our Center for Equity and Excellence in Aviation, CEF for short. And basically it has 3 pillars to it. So the first one is career pathways. That's where we expose youth. And Barry, did you ask that question?
I did, yes.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I think I was telling you a little bit about this when we last met, but the career pathways is to expose youth to careers in aviation. So that's as young as the 3rd grade, matriculating all the way up to executives that are already out there working. You know, I didn't know much about aviation. I would have never been able to tell you when I was younger that I'd be in a career in aviation. And I didn't even know that there was jobs like sustainability, government affairs, you know, civil engineers, etc. And so we expose those youth to that. Then our second pillar is business development training. And so that's for business owners, entrepreneurs, whether they're starting out or they're seasoned, but we teach them and kind of hold their hand through the whole process of doing business at the airport. So if they want to open up a brick and mortar, or if they want to have their products on the shelves, or if they want to be a vendor that we utilize, we show them how to do that. So how to get certified through the city and county of Denver, every step of the way. We have a 100 training course for beginners, 200 for intermediate, 300 for those seasoned business folks. And then the third pillar is research and innovation. We'll call it a research and innovation lab. And that is where we will invite people to come to the airport and look at what we call mega trends. And so in aviation, and I think Denver International Airport helped coin the term. It's essentially issues that we foresee impacting aviation. So that could be artificial intelligence, drone technology, severe weather, what have you. We'll bring people out to the airport to think about creative ways to improve our safety and our operations here at DEN.
Cool. Thank you.
Sure.
Jens, I think you need to run, and I think might run out of time before you need to run. Could you introduce yourself and let us know the status of your presentation? Are you going to have to leave at the bottom of the hour?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just keep it very, very short and high level. So, hi everybody. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to meet everyone. And Doug, thanks for having me. Infinity Partners helps transatlantic, mid-market, deep tech manufacturing companies, and the smaller ones, the up to 20 million in revenue, we help with commercialization. You know, some high-tech product from Germany selling into, let's say, the US primes, or the other way around, right? US, say, high-tech product selling into Siemens or ABB and so on. And then the larger companies, say 200 million to 2 billion in revenue. We help with performance improvement, transformation, turnaround if the situation is already pretty bad, just change management in general, with the core mechanism being PMO, right? Program management. And so, okay, that's a quick overview on Infinity Partners in general. And Doug asked me to give a quick overview of opportunities in Europe, and just kind of like a bit of a weather forecasts or weather situation. And here it is high level from my current perspective, right? So the Ukraine war, it's interesting, right? So depending on which side of the pond you're on, the reality presents itself differently on exactly the same facts, right? So in the US, the takeaway from the Ukraine war was, so the US was aware that Russia is a danger before the Ukraine war, and over the course of the Ukraine war, American strategists realized, well, they actually can't fight that well. They can't actually defeat a third grade country in terms of military power in the world. And so for us, we can now shift our focus to China. And that's where a little bit, if you take a very cold, geostrategic perspective, that's where a little bit where this shift comes from, where it's like, hey, actually, we don't have that many, let's say, we don't have that many conflicts of interest, let's say, with Russia on that zoomed out level, right? In Europe, it's been the exact opposite, right? Europe, and I'm from there, lived there many years, lived a bit in Disneyland for many decades, where they thought that you don't need a strong military, and in fact, it was just Uncle Sam's security umbrella. Basically building this Disneyland bubble over Europe, and now they've woken up to this, and so for them, it's a way greater danger. Russia is a way greater danger than they ever perceived before that. So it's a very, very interesting dynamic and all the corollaries that follow from that. On Germany, broad brush, it was a well-humming engine until, let's say, the Ukraine war, and that was based on cheap energy from Russia. Demographics still being pretty strong, reaping some demographic dividend, lots of very highly trained people that produce world-class products and markets to sell to. Everywhere was booming due to globalization. China, Russia, US, everyone you could sell machines to, and machines that make machines, right? And those all came crashing down with the advent of the Ukraine war. Cheap energy from Russia was no more. Demographic dividend is kind of running out now because the boomers are retiring, and contrarily to American boomers, they forgot to have kids. And markets, China is breaking away. Russia has obviously broken away, and so the only big growth market with a broad brush is the U.S. for German companies now. The silver lining, or the summer of hope, there is that there's an approach of the new incoming government that was just elected in Germany, which is a conservative government, to make away with the debt brake, which has hampered investment in public infrastructure in Germany for maybe the last decade or so. So they're going to do away with it and invest 800 billion euros into Europe, into German infrastructure and defense. And so that will be interesting to watch. Definitely a good impulse into revitalizing German growth, but the trend into the US for German companies persists, and it's not only to sell, but also to produce. Customers of clients of ours ask, it's almost in the same breath, we're happy to buy from you, but we're not in the business of paying for tariffs and so on, so when are you going to also produce here? And then there's other considerations too in the aerospace sector with ITAR and offset, but the general trend is that they produce. They think of production here almost at the same time as they think of selling more here. Eastern Europe going very strong, which not everyone has on their radar, but Poland, for example, 2.9% growth in 2024. Strong U.S. affinity in the whole Eastern European part, and if you want to build a bit of a differentiated geographic map of Europe, you can imagine a bit of a tug of war between Western Europe and the US for the Eastern European states. They have a high US affinity because they trust the US security umbrella more than they do the Western European, nascent security umbrella, let's call it. And that was definitely the case before the Zelensky-Trump blow up in the White House. And now that is a little bit in limbo, but generally they have a very high U.S. affinity. France, long term, despite of what you see now, any political chaos, if you want to look past all the the chatter and the noise, so to say, long term, if you're placing bets, France is the best place to look at in Europe because they have good demographics. They had lots of kids, contrary to other countries, and so that's paying off now, both on the production and on the consumption side. They're not running out of workers, and they have people in their 20s and 30s starting families, buying houses, buying cars, and so on. So consumption there should be pretty much on the up in the coming years. They're energy independent because they didn't close off their nuclear plants. They were never dependent on Russian gas, and have access to Africa, the francophone Africa. And plus they also have the military reach. They maintain their independent expeditionary capability in their military and their navy, so they can secure their interests pretty much anyone in the world if they decide to do that. UK is a bit of a big question mark, and they're watch for signs which way they're going to gravitate. They have to decide themselves now if they want to be part of the Anglosphere or part of Europe. Obviously, they voted against Europe with Brexit. Obviously, they've regretted that. Growth wasn't looking too great there since then, and now it's either going to be a pretty junior partner, almost like a 51st state kind of situation in the Anglosphere, subordinating itself to Uncle Sam basically, or re-engaging with Europe. So that's something to watch if you broad brush, if you want to look at which way UK is going. And then, growth surprisingly coming a lot from the south also, Italy, Spain, Greece. So Spain had a GDP growth of 3.2% last year, for example. I think we could go more to detail, but this is I think the broad picture that I see from here and talking to Europe a lot, what Europe is looks like at the moment.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that great overview. Thank you for joining the Global Chamber Denver Advisory Board.
Thanks for having me.
All of you who are part of that, there'll be an advisory board meeting in April. And also, just for everybody's knowledge, the third Wednesday at noon, which this is, or actually, this isn't the third Wednesday. This is the second Wednesday. So I'm not sure. I might have written down, but we have going forward, April through June, we have a once a month Globinar like this, where members can get together, learn from others, and also share. So thank you, Jens. I know you need to run.
Thank you so much. You have a good day.
You too as well. He uses.
By the way, I'll be going to Barry, your airport right now. That's where I'm headed. So thanks for running such a great operation. I enjoy it every time.
Thank you for spending your money here. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Jens uses the airport quite a bit.
For sure.
So Barry, getting back to you and Barry Burch, and sorry, I wanted to make sure that Jens had a chance before he ran off to the airport. Do you have any closing comments that you'd like to make?
Oh, no, just thank you so much for the opportunity. We really appreciate it. So excited to have celebrated our 30-year anniversary. That was a really big deal. But as you heard, Vision 100, we did not expect that we were going to see 100 million passengers this soon. And so it's really incredible to think. And, some people ask, well, if you have to expand so much, then why pursue additional passengers? The thing is, it's not that we're pursuing it. It's just that people are flying a lot more, and it's truly inevitable. And so we've got to do what we've got to do to make sure that we can serve those passengers great. But thanks, everybody, for listening today, and appreciate you all, because I know a lot of you all frequent Denver International Airport quite a bit. So thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you so much. And we're going to continue to go around the room. We've got about 20 minutes. And so I'd love to try to cover as many members as we can. So let's try to keep it short and sweet for each and get some updates. One of our new advisory board members for Denver is Allison Furch of Gala Global. And you've got a big event coming up in May. I'm not sure how many folks here know who you are, and probably everybody, but just in case, could you just refresh us on what Gala is and what's coming up?
Sure. I'd be happy to. And I'd wager probably none of you know who we are. So allow me to introduce Gala Global. So it's the Globalization and Localization Association. We're a trade association for companies that focus on global content. And you might think of that as translation. or interpreting or localization. And it's essentially the oil that runs global business and enables people to communicate with one another and do business across borders and cultures. So our event is in Montreal. It's an annual conference. Montreal next month, actually, mid-April. We do this once a year. We gather about 400, 500 folks, generally from the localization sector, people who identify as localization professionals, as well as some from the enterprise side, big and small enterprises. And we work on, professional development, networking. It's a very interesting supply chain in this industry. And so people are always keen to meet one another. Apart from that annual conference, we're an association, a year-round association offering, programs, education, networking, typical things that a trade association would do. So it's a pleasure to meet you all. It's a pleasure to be invited. Thank you, Doug. And I'm kind of still new, only about a year and a half in the Denver area, after 20 years in Seattle. So I'm not sure I can call myself a Coloradan yet, but I'm getting there. Thanks.
Welcome. Somebody who's been there for longer and someone who's been involved with Global Chamber for quite a while is Maria Putnam. And certainly there's a lot of affinity between the two of you. If you don't know each other, definitely let's get you connected. Maria, welcome and thanks for joining today. You mentioned earlier about all your travels. What's going on in your world? DEI, which has been the center of your world, that's been turned all sorts of different ways. And so how can we help you?
Thank you, Doug. It's really nice to meet you all. And great to see you, Barry, and the other Barry, both of you. Nice to see everybody. Going back to DEI and your question, yes, it's the DEI Leadership Institute actually right now is going through a redesign. So we are right now working in the new certifications. That's our focus, to actually provide certifications to leaders. So we are actually launching a couple new certification. One is cross-cultural a certification for leaders around the world. And also the emotional intelligence, and we are doing something with technology. And everything is around human-centered. And so we will keep doing the same thing with other names. I believe that the work of DEI is not even close to be done. I think that we have to be strategic in the next 4 years, but we have to keep moving and making the impact. So I will be having the conference again this year in fall. Barry from the airport, actually, you've been in the conference, and we've been actually working really close with the airport as well as other organizations. So that's about DEI, and that's about the Burch Institute right now.
Is there a date set yet for the conference this year?
Not yet. We are in conversations right now.
Okay, fantastic. Maria, one of the things that Maria also is involved with, actually two things she started at Global Chamber. One was our virtual dining, which we still do now quarterly. And another is the Women Online Global Networking, which Maria took a little bit of a break from. And we've had Dr. Pauline Crawford, working on that for the last few months. And so we're talking to Maria about how to weave her back in there, because she's got a unique, beautiful leadership style that we definitely want to continue with. So Maria, thank you for all that you do. Really appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Another longtime member in Denver is Rob Lance, and he's now visible. So, hey, Rob, are you there? What's going on in your world? How can we help? We appreciate all that you do on the German side, on the global side, on the legal side. How can we help?
Help me focus. So for people who don't know me, I'm the president of the Council on Foreign Relations here in Denver. And so we do a lot of meetings to educate our population here in Denver as to international affairs and other things. I'll let Casey speak to that more because she's also the executive director. I do quite a bit with the German American Chamber. My law partner is the former honorary consul for Germany. Our offices happen to be in the global chamber space, or the German American Chamber space. And so we do a lot of work and collaboration with the German American Chamber. But my law firm is primarily an inbound international law firm at this point. We assist largely German, Austrian, Swiss, and British businesses as they move operations to Colorado or otherwise need illegal assistance in Colorado. We do almost what I would call startup work for companies that exist already in Europe, but they want to start doing business here in Colorado or the United States. And we do both the transactional piece. I do largely the litigation piece. So they come to the United States. Oftentimes they use Google Translate, which, as Allison will tell you, is not ever a good idea. Especially, I have a situation where a Ukrainian translated a German document into English. And the document is a disaster. So ends up in hundreds, if not millions of dollars worth of litigation because of that small type of an error. So we do a lot of that kind of work. I guess what I look for with the Global Chamber is I've enjoyed meeting people in, for instance, London, Spain, Barcelona, Madrid, when I have traveled there, and I am actually going over with the German American delegation to Munich at the end of the month. We have a city-to-city agreement that was negotiated between the city of Denver and Munich, and also Colorado. I think Barry Burch may either go. He knows about it, but I don't know if he's going on the trip with us. But we're going over there to meet with all kinds of different stakeholders in Germany, government, businesses, and other organizations, how we can collaborate more with Munich and Bavaria. So I have a very light plate. I don't do much during the day, a lot of sleeping, but I'm a very busy person and I love connecting. So.
I've been thinking about you because we also have now a global board for Global Chamber. It started a few weeks ago, led by Dr. Sanjeev Kagram and a German lady who is, both of them are amazing. Frances Tesmer is the lady from a German maritime family, and she's changing the world on so many different levels. And so we also have a new global advisor in Germany. So we're starting a monthly Germany conversation. Would love to weave you into that and ultimately get you connected to both Coco in Berlin and Frances, our board person. Thanks for all your leadership there.
Yeah, and also I meant to I'll send you a separate email to check in with people over there because I am trying to make kind of meetings to start bridging between the two countries. So I'll reach out to you separately. Finally, the only other thing I was going to say, and I do need help on this, I am also, because again, I have nothing else to do, I do a lot of work with helping people coming out of human trafficking connect with attorneys in an organization called Alight. So I will also be probably doing some of those talks when I'm in Munich. I don't even know where I'm going these days, but Munich. So I do a lot of work in that area. And actually, Barry, I tend to talk to you. It's Barry Burch and Barry Berman if he wants to, but talk about that human trafficking component. So that's it.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Let's keep going around the room. Who has something that they'd like to share? Casey, did you want to add a little bit more?
I was literally coming off of mute when you said that. I figure I can tag team with Rob. So hi, I'm Casey Moore. I'm new to Global Chamber and everything, but I'm excited to kind of join. I'm the executive director of the Denver Council on Foreign Relations. For those of you who don't know us, we're a nonprofit, nonpartisan, seeking to educate Denver and the Colorado community on matters of foreign policy, international affairs, global sustainability, and really just keep get an educated and diverse community going in that space. So I also work with Rob part-time as well with a law firm, so have a lot of contacts with the German American Chamber of Commerce, and it's been real fun to kind of step into this role pretty recently. So
Beautiful. Thank you. And thanks for joining the advisory board as well.
yeah, thank you.
And watch for more information there. Did the other Barry leave? I think so.
Oh, he's here.
Oh, here you are. How are you? Would you like to share your wisdom? Barry's a longtime member of Global Chamber. He's on the advisory board. He also changed my life by donating and in a win-win trade, a course that he does on integrity, and that changed my life because it got me on a series of paths that allowed me hopefully to improve myself, or it seemed like I did a few things that my wife says I changed. You seem changed. And Barry, you're the reason behind all of that. So thank you for not only what you do for me, but what you do for others. What would you like to share, and how can we help?
Well, basically, both Rob Lance and Doug have both participated in the kind of work we do. I'm a consulting company, executive development and training, leadership, we develop leaders, but it's very unique because there's a way of working with executives that we can empower them to make commitments bigger than they thought possible, bigger than who they think they are, to accomplish things that didn't look possible at the onset. So it works through those management into their teams. And I'm currently been working with a whole city in the southern New Mexico on the border. I've got challenges with, immigration and water and things like that, and just produced some outstanding outcomes with them. And now I'm in conversations with the police department here. Actually, it's fun working with all these different people, developing their leadership. So you can help me if there are people out there who want to have a breakthrough, who want to commit to something that doesn't look possible at the onset, like Kennedy going to the moon and many other ones that have done some extraordinary things. So we've got the technology for it.
During the development of our global board, I've thought of you a lot because of that, getting above and where you think you can go. And our global board has been thinking that way. And your training has helped me get there as well. You also reminded me of something. Jane Goodall has a book called The Book of Hope.
Mm.
And I'm finding that to be a great book right now for the world, because the world is less than ideal. And she talks about that from a global sustainability perspective. It's only a few years old. It was done during COVID, but it's very appropriate for today. And she wrote the book with a guy named Doug from New York, which I'm Doug from New York too. So I'm finding it quite entertaining, because people from New York tend to be kind of skeptical about like foo-foo stuff. And that's kind of how he frames it. And she is so grounded and so amazing and so ultimately hopeful about the future and what it takes to continue that feeling about hopefulness. So I strongly encourage that book if you haven't read it already.
Doug, I just wanted to say one last thing is Doug talked about integrity. Without integrity, like we're talking about, not morality, ethics, and legality. Yes, that's very important, but integrity, and you give your word and you keep your word, or you honor it when you know you're not, promotes things working. And everybody knows there's a lot of that missing in the world these days. So that's kind of the work we're talking about here. Doug, there's a whole book coming out on that, just on that topic alone.
Okay. You mean from you or what?
No, some of my colleagues have actually finished it. They're shopping it around. So I'll let you guys know when it's out.
Fantastic.
Okay.
There's amazing reasons for hope. I see Melissa in the room, and the work that she's doing at Project Hope in Africa is unbelievable and amazing. And so thank you for all that you do. Oh, you came off mute. Would you like to say hi?
I can say hi, sure. Thanks, Doug.
Beautiful. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good to see you all.
You as well. What's the latest and greatest?
Well, just as an introduction, I'm Melissa Custer. I'm with Project Hope, as Doug mentioned, and it's a global health and emergency response organization. We support and train healthcare workers in about 30 countries in low-income communities. Focus areas of those trainings are NCDs, CDs, maternal and child health, migrant health, mental health, and healthcare strengthening in general. And then for emergency responses, we usually respond to most emergencies. We've been in Ukraine since the war started. We responded to the hurricanes out east, the fires in LA. So most emergencies we will respond to as long as we're needed. And as funny you mentioned Africa, Doug, because of the USAID funding that has been stopped, we have had to cancel or I guess terminate all of our Africa programs because they were all USAID funded. That being said, we are trying to find funding to fill those gaps for Africa, and then also help like fill the gaps wherever else they're needed right now. It's not just Africa that was canceled. We have like 11 programs that were canceled. One in Ukraine, Dominican, like we just had little pockets that have been canceled, unfortunately. So we are still working hard, and we have about 100 programs that are still going that aren't USAID. And so we're looking at other avenues like corporations, foundations, and other areas that and individuals that are interested in helping to fill the gaps while we're on a pause right now. So thank you. If anybody has any questions or wants to connect, I'll put my email in the chat.
Brilliant. Sergio Barajas, I'm not sure I know you, but you have an interesting organization that you're part of. Are you a member of Global Chamber? Are you connected to us?
I'm not, and I feel a little bit like an interloper here, like I don't belong on the call. So I appreciate not getting kicked off. Rick Padilla, a friend of mine, sent me the link, and he said, "Oh, you should participate on the call if you're available." And so I'm not sure if anyone there knows Rick Padilla, but that's how I got the link. I know that he was director of housing for the city of Denver, I think in one of his past lives. In any event, I am the executive director of the National Hispanic Construction Alliance, and we recently formed a chapter in Denver. So this is our 7th chapter that we formed within 12 months. And we're actually an outgrowth of NAREP. NAREP is the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, celebrating their 25th year this year, and they have about 100 chapters. In any event, my focus and the focus of this organization is capacity building for Hispanic construction workers and contractors. And Barry, that's why in the messaging there, I said, hey, I'd love to connect with you, because we really want to find a way to make sure that workers and contractors, the companies that they represent, kind of build their capacity, whether it's technical or financial or just identifying opportunities. We're coming to Denver. And so I think our launch event is about 60 days out, which is typical whenever we establish a board. So it was more to introduce myself, the organization we are standing up, and hopefully find some synergy there for the local board and the local leadership going forward.
Super. Let's connect separately and let's get you involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That brings us, I think, to the end, unless anybody else has something they'd like to share. I'd just like to say that going forward, third Wednesday at noon Mountain Time is this Globinar, and then the advisory boards for both Denver and Salt Lake meeting separately in April. And watch for the information on all those. The Globinars are already up on the website, and that information you may have already received from our team. I also, from Melissa's comment about Africa, this is actually, it came out of the Jane Goodall book, but also really came from our Tanzania chapter. They've been wanting to do an event, and they convinced the president of Tanzania to be part of the Global Chamber event. And so we're going to do our first ever global meeting in Tanzania this summer. We're just working out the date. And so really excited by that. That's where Jane Goodall did so much of her work, on the eastern shores of Lake Tanganyika. So I'm really excited on multiple levels. We continue to grow, and thank you all for your support and collaboration. I better let you go because we're right at the top of the hour. Appreciate everything. Stay in touch. If you have anything that we didn't get to, please let me know. Or if you have any needs, please let us know as well. Doug@globalchamber.org. We're happy to help you. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Doug.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
Barry.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sergio. This is Doug. Hi.
Oh, sorry, Doug.
I presume I have your
Yeah,
email somewhere.
it should be in the registration.
Did you sign up on the website, or do we have?
Yeah, I signed up on the website, and then I put my email right there in the chat as well. Looking forward to connecting.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm at Doug@globalchamber.org, and so let's understand. There's a lot of synergy there. Not just in Denver, but love to hear about some of the other chapters. So, like as an example, we've been helping the Japan America Society build their chapters. There's also some different construction groups that we work with in multiple cities, and so there's probably some sort of alignment we should be doing.
Yeah, and I'd love to connect. We just released our State of Hispanics in Construction report on the 6th. And so that's kind of our baseline for how we're going to implement programs and policies. So I think it'd be a good time to connect.
Cool. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Dave. Bye.